Okay, so we have a patient who's coming in right now. We're gonna fix this crown. He's got a gap underneath it with a cavity. We're gonna fix it all same day, no temporary, using CEREC technology. And we'll start our first little scan here. Yeah, trying to do your pinch right there. And I'm gonna go real slow here as always to make it easy for you.
He's not getting.
What's that? Just one. Yeah, the worst part's behind us already. Unless you want an extra one, we can do that too.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, nice work. Yeah, that's good. Because this crown has metal underneath, the problem is sometimes that metal can corrode or break down over time versus the newer stuff that we've done. Go ahead and open a little more, which is gonna be all ceramic. So that's the big benefit of the ceramic is when we're bonding the tooth versus cementing it, we just get a much better seal. So we don't see these things break open at the margins or the seam as much because it's just a better material. It looks nicer too, strong. All right, so then what we're gonna do here, we're actually gonna copy this. So this is his tooth ahead of time. We like the shape of the tooth. We know it's good with his bite. But what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna copy this file. Once we remove that crown and clean up the cavity underneath, we're gonna have a new crown made that basically fits the exact same bite. What's that?
Looks like that thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but we'll shine it up. We'll make it look a little bit nicer. We'll give it a little more natural shape. But this just gives us a record of what the bite looks like. So we're gonna basically virtually remove the crown, just like that. We're gonna do our little work here behind the scenes, and then once that crown is off, we'll rescan them and make essentially a replica of his exact tooth. But we've got his crown off, and it's hard sometimes as a patient to appreciate why we take these crowns off when they're not bothering you. But when we see a little hint of a cavity or a gap on the x-ray, this is usually what we see on the, or when the crown is actually off. So we caught this at a perfect time though, so we'll get that all cleaned up and then we'll scan them again. Okay, so we've cleaned up our cavity. We have a brand new buildup in there, so you can see those edges are all nice and fresh, clean, happy tooth. Now we're gonna do a scan, just like we did in the beginning, except for the only difference is the crown is off. So the software is gonna basically patch those two images together and design our new crown. We're just going to be filling in right in that spot. So we're filling in all of that blue stuff. That's our goal. Normally we'd be taking an actual mold at this point, making a temporary crown and bringing the patient back for a second visit. So that's the biggest benefit of this, is that we're actually going to be delivering the final crown today, all in one visit. Okay, so this is cool. You can see here, here's the outline of the old crown. There's the crown prep underneath it. So what we're doing here, we're setting this within what we call a virtual articulator, so it actually can work out the functional requirements of the case using algorithms and all kinds of crazy German science. So what we're doing here is we are tracing the outline. This is where the crown and the tooth are gonna meet.
Serious business.
Oh, then there's my wife, a little cackle box in the back. Yeah, the peanut gallery. Okay, so we've now told the computer, here's where we want the crown to stop and start. This little white outline is gonna be everything that we copy. Okay, so here's his crown exactly as it is. You can see it's pretty worn, it's got some rough areas, it's bumpy. So we're gonna come in here and
oh my gosh,
literally Photoshop this
cool.
back. So now we're just editing this crown. We're basically making it look a little bit more like an unworn tooth here. So this is the spot in between the teeth. This is where we floss. So these colors mean different amounts of contact. So we want just a little bit of green here. And the idea is when we do that, it should just drop right into place. There's our new tooth. There's where it sits. So this is our old crown right there. You can see it was pretty flat, didn't have a lot of shape to it. We've given it a little more life. And we are ready to go. So we're gonna mill this out now. It's about 15 minutes. We pop it in and he's done. So these are all raw materials. These are all blanks for the crowns that we're gonna be doing here. These purple colors represent the material we're using today. It changes color once it's in this machine. So we picked the color already, we've loaded it into the block. Our machine is now measuring and verifying and calibrating to make sure it mills it out precisely. And that block, within about 12 minutes, is going to be transformed into our crown. When it's done, these are the little leftover pieces. And then we cement it in, same day. Okay, so we've now milled this crown out. This is 15 minutes later. This is the raw product here. So this is the purple version of the ceramic. We're gonna glaze it in an oven and it'll change color. But the first thing we're gonna do is try it in, make sure our fit is good so that we love it before we move on.
If I like the purple, can we keep it purple?
We can keep it purple, we can do gold, we can carve your initials in there, my initials in there. If lost, return to John. We'll do our anatomy. So right now, this is still a version of his previous crown. So it looks better than what it did before. We're gonna make it look even prettier. We're gonna trim off this little attachment here.
Cool. Gonna go into the oven. It looks stuff and so.
So Lily's got our crown loaded up. We are seating it to place. This is our very last step. You're gonna feel lots of pressure here too for just a bit. So she's curing it. This is our last step. Let's check our bite. Most of the time we don't even have to adjust these, especially because it's a copy of his exact same crown. We just made it look a little nicer. And of course with a better fit. Fit right here. Lily matched these existing crowns perfectly. And that's it, no temp. Final crown. And we started at what, like 10 o'clock, right? So an hour and a half, start to finish. And a lot of that time is just waiting on the milling and the glazing. Our final shot. Beautiful fit. We saw her prep before. Really did a beautiful job with staining and glazing. Of course, John is an amazing model. You did awesome. We'll let you freshen up at the sink. Okay, so here's John's case. This is his tooth when we got started today. This is an old crown with metal underneath it. There's a gap there, a big cavity that we saw during his last exam. This is moments after we took off the crown. You can see there's an old filling. All that dark material around there is a cavity. We've now, in this photo, cleaned up the cavity. We took out the old filling. We've done what's called a buildup, which is that new white material there. And here's our final shot of the day. We put a brand new all metal or all ceramic crown on there, bonded it in there same day, no temporary, and that's how you do a same day crown.